Yeah, so my name's Brent. Some people here may already know me. I've kind of been in and out of a lot of discords within the DeFi community over the past several months. The Rebellion is basically our plan is to be the Dragon's Den or the Shark Tank of DeFi. What does that mean? It basically means that we're going to be these venture capitalists and effectively using a crowdsourcing model, much like Kickstarter, where the average consumer and retail investor will be able to get involved in these deals like the big boys do in the venture capital world.
Gotcha. That's super cool. What kind of like inspired you to start it up?
Um, I kind of saw a space in the market. I have to be honest, for several months now, I've been planning and planning, trying to fine tune the tokenomics, and eventually it all just kind of fit together because we saw that gap in the market and we went, how can we improve and make the space better? We saw a lot of promises of really high unsustainable APYs. We saw a lot of rug pulls, and we thought, well, myself and Terry, or Crypto Mayhem, as other people may know him by, we came together and basically put our minds together to try to solve a problem within the space that nobody else had really filled yet.
Yeah, that definitely makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, so part of it was purely the fact that, like I said, most of us can't participate in those venture capital deals where really the big money is made. Let's be fair. That's how the rich get richer. Um, and looked at crypto as the perfect way to share that wealth with everybody else.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that it is a super unique opportunity that crypto does kind of put on the table for the average investor out there. How would you kind of compare what you guys are doing to a launch pad?
So a launch pad effectively is just helping bring projects to market. That's something we could help do down the line, but for us, our our initiative, as it was, would actually be to have a project approach us, much like in Shark Tank, where they go, "Here's our project. This is our projected revenue. We're looking at 100 grand for 5% of the project or company." Let's say that, for example, we'd look and we'd probably negotiate. Let's be fair, it's business. We want to get the best possible price and deal for our investors. Um, then we'll be using our expertise and our knowledge of the space to help them build and grow. Whereas many launch pads just go, give us your tokens, we'll put your name on our website, and hopefully people will buy your token and then you're on your own. Whereas we'll, much like in Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, actually almost handhold them and help them to grow in the space.
Gotcha. Okay. That's super awesome. I like the idea of hand holding almost because a lot of projects that do launch, it's more often than not, it's the person's first time ever launching a DeFi project, and that's a new experience that if they've never done it before, they're going to come up with roadblocks, and it's not just a straightforward A to Z process that you can follow. I mean, there's so many different routes you can go, and it's it's not easy for sure. And I think helping projects along the way, giving them resources to learn from, or like referring people to help them out in whatever way that they need help with, I think that could definitely go a long way in kind of like almost like predicting your own outcome with the project almost, because like if you have two projects and you're helping one along the way and you're not helping one, let's say that used a competitor's launch pad, well, if they're both a similar concept, it's very likely that the one that you guys are helping along the way are going to be the one that succeeds. So I think that's a super awesome concept, and it definitely aligns with our values at Cardinal House.
Yeah,
We try to
def-
help out everybody, to the best of our abilities that we possibly can. So that's
Yeah,
super
and
awesome.
obviously with the launch pads, they have their place, and I'm not bad mouthing launch pads. They've worked very well for many people. But there's a flaw with the Launchpad in the sense that they do take a lot of your tokens, and eventually they're going to want to sell them, aren't they, to make profit? Um,
Yep.
which, again, is just business. However, with the right marketing, the right team, and the right kind of hype, because let's be fair, crypto does operate on a lot of hype, especially at the beginning when a project's first starting out. With all those things combined, you can enable it to do it yourself on your own dApp with your own launchpad, where you don't have to give up a large proportion to a company that hasn't got a vested interest with you. Whereas when they come to us for the investment, we've got that vested interest because obviously we want the project to succeed. And obviously at a certain point, we may sell some tokens along the way. However, because we're actually invested and we're partners and effectively co-owners of the projects, we're not going to want to dump on our own project, are we? So it will just be small profit taking along the way through a vesting period that's fair and safe for everyone.
Definitely. I think that a concept definitely makes a lot more sense than a traditional launchpad. So that's super cool. What? How do the NFTs? You guys are an NFT based project. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how do those kind of fit into the ecosystem, and what is the advantage if I were to buy one of the NFTs and hold it? Like, how does that get me access to these private investments?
That's a really good question. Effectively, we're not just an NFT project. We've got three stages, so it's probably easiest to explain it all at once, I suppose. The NFTs within a traditional investing environment, you would have capital acquisition phase where you raise funds. Then you would have capital deployment where you put those funds to work. And then after that, you would work on your headline project. So if we're talking about a headline project, it could be a game, could be the iPhone, the S20, whatever it is for Samsung. And the NFTs are acting as our capital acquisition phase. So that's our fundraising where the community comes together, we raise funds using the NFTs. Those NFTs will then hold utility within our next projects. So we've got Rebellion NFTs, Rebellion Capital, and Rebellion Gaming. The NFTs will hold yield boosting capabilities within the Rebellion Capital project. And then later on down the line, they'll also hold utility within the game we're going to develop. In regard to the yield boosting capabilities, there's probably a lot of people wondering about that. So I suppose I could jump right into it and kind of explain it.
Yeah, go for it.
With Rebellion Capital, it's effectively going to have that profit sharing capability. The alpha that we haven't dropped to everybody so far, which we're going to be talking about in this AMA, is initially we're going to be a very low rebasing token. So when you have the NFT, you'll get a automatic whitelist to Rebellion Capital. Rebellion Capital will then start at 100 million tokens, and its supply will inflate by 300%, effectively taking you from 100 million tokens to 400 million. The reason we decided to do that APY of 300% is because mathematically, through investigating all the other projects that have done rebases, the typical tipping point was at 400%, where the price went from having like a positive action from all the rebases to having a negative overinflated aspect to them. On top of that, you're going to be able to stake your Rebel token and then participate in the profit share from the venture capital. And that's where the NFTs will come in, because if you max mint, you'll get a bonus NFT airdrop to you, which will basically be able to compound on top of the profit share mechanism. So say you were entitled to 10% of a treasury because you were a giant whale, it may boost it by an additional 5% of that 10%, if that makes sense. So you'll get an extra boost from those yields, and they'll be distributed through vesting periods, as I said before. So it may be you get a certain amount of tokens every month for 6 months over the vesting period. And with that, sorry, my head went a little bit blank then. With that, what will basically happen is many of these venture capital models that have existed before, they decide to actually pay you out in their token, which, let's be fair, the more they print of their token, the less valuable it will become in a year, 2 years, 3 years. So we actually pay out in the native token of the projects we actually invest into. So those NFTs will have yield in boosting the amount of that token you get. And then further down the line, like I say, you'll be able to stake them within the game also, possibly as a playable character, or to boost your army's attributes, things like that. And obviously, any other projects that we build into the ecosystem, they will have a benefit from those NFTs also.
Gotcha. I got a lot of questions. If you
Yep.
got time to answer them, I'll be happy to ask them.
I got plenty.
First question I have is, when you have access to one of these private investments, is this on an individual basis? Like, if you have 100 NFT holders, but only, let's say, 75 of them wanted to participate in this, is it only those 75 that would, or is this like a governance voting type of situation where if the majority vote rules, then that's kind of where the treasury's funds are allocated?
So the answer I'm going to give probably isn't what some people would like to hear, but we're not a DAO. And I believe that if we left every decision to the general public, it wouldn't always be the right decision in terms of running a business, because many people don't have experience running a business. Myself, I'm a manager for an engineering company in the UK. One of our advisors, my stepfather, as it happens, he's a serial entrepreneur my entire life and has sold his latest business for tens of millions of pounds. So I would argue that the people who are more qualified to make the decision should make the decision. However, having said that, before we actually invest, we are going to be mentioning all of the investment opportunities that come to us, to the NFT holders and the like, OG members included, where we'll basically sit down in an AMA with them, get the community's feedback, and that'll obviously help us forge a decision as to whether we actually invest in that project or not. If everybody goes, I hate this, obviously that's going to have a big impact on our opinion on the projects.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that there's obviously some people that would view that as a negative and some people that would view that as a positive, but just from like an unbiased statistic, there's a reason why over 90% of traders make less than an index fund, because they aren't qualified to be the people running the index funds. Like
Yeah,
there's a reason why, there's people that study their whole career, to get to the point where they are, quote unquote, qualified to be an index fund manager. So while there are a lot of people that really would love to have that governance right, I think it, from a logical and business standpoint, the more qualified individuals definitely are more likely to make that better decision when it comes to what business to invest in and how to do that hand holding.
yeah. And obviously there's a balance because let's try not to use too many curse words, but for lack of better words, you don't want to piss off your investor.
Right.
Um, so obviously we're gonna, like I said, take into account what everybody says, because if we just went, shut up and listen to us, everybody would go, well, you're arrogant and I don't like your project. So there's a balance between using the expertise we have and then also taking the advice of the community, because really they're the ones who dictate market sentiment, and market sentiment is what makes or breaks an early project.
Yeah, 100%. I like that you guys are kind of taking all those options into consideration. I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit with the questions, but the next question I had was, what you mentioned that you guys are creating a game behind it. Could you tell us a little bit about that game and kind of who do you have developing that game? Because that sounds like something that could be pretty big.
Yeah, of course. So at the moment, we've got a couple of companies lined up in terms of who we could work with. We've not made any definite decisions as of yet, because obviously the process of making a game, and making a good game in particular, is a long one. The game's not going to be out in a month's time. I won't lie to anybody and say that, because we don't just want to chuck the first thing that we can out onto the market. We're looking at doing something different. So the game is actually going to be a mobile-based game, interacting directly with the blockchain, which hasn't been done yet. We've got we've basically got some knowledge of how we can integrate that, because obviously Apple, for example, doesn't like third-party payment options, do they? However, we can effectively make it a browser-based game, and when you open that application on your phone, you would just get the digitized browser and be able to interact with it like any other mobile game, meaning you could link your wallet to it and actually make purchases. The type of game, we're kind of going down that Clash of Clans feel, that addictive nature of wanting to come back. We're not necessarily looking for people to be sat on it for 12 hours a day. However, it will be the type of game that you can have half an hour spare and you could pick it up, have a blast, and then put it back down. And you can and by doing that, your NFTs can be upgraded along the way, and many more things like that.
All right, yeah, I like that approach. I actually was playing Clash of Clans a couple days ago myself.
Yeah, still not dead after so many years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been crazy. One of my buddies is like, "Yo, you want to join my clan?" I'm like, "Oh, why not? Sure." And I mean,
And then he calls you a scrub because you've you got less army than him.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's been around for ages. I've been playing it for, or my first time playing it was probably almost like 10 years ago. I don't know, it was a while.
Well, I was going to say I was in my early 20s when it released, and as old as it makes me feel, I'm now in my early 30s.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been around for a large proportion of my adult life. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so interacting with the blockchain directly on a game, I'm assuming you have to be pretty picky with the network that you are launching on. So what network are you launching on? And then is there like a specific reason as to, in comparison to other networks as well?
Yeah, so again, we did a poll with the community just to see what the sentiment was, and within our community, there were three leading blockchains. There was Ethereum, there was Cardano, and there was Polygon. To be honest with you, we were leaning towards Polygon all along, but that's what we ended up going with regardless. Largely because anybody who knows Polygon knows that it's kind of the next big thing at this point, and it's almost inevitable. It benefits from all of what Ethereum has to offer in terms of security. However, it's faster, cheaper, and in my opinion, better. And even with Ethereum v2 coming, Vitalik has also said himself that the layer twos are going to benefit more so than Ethereum will. from that being implemented. So, uh, following on from there, Polygon literally is the best and only choice, in my opinion. They've got contracts with government for implementing IDs as NFTs. They're got some of the biggest DeFi projects out there at the moment that are building on there and are actually powered by Polygon. And they're just an invested bunch of builders themselves, the team at Polygon, who really get involved in promising DeFi projects and NFTs.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it'd be a little unfortunate if you launch on Ethereum and it was like, I'm training my army, gotta spend $20.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Ethereum is an OG, isn't it? It's one of the big boys. One day, I imagine it could actually flip Bitcoin in terms of its market cap. Not financial advice. Don't sue me on that if it doesn't happen. um, but like you say, it's so expensive. It's so slow in comparison to others. But there's a lot of good things about it, and all those good things are only amplified by Polygon, and all the bad things are destroyed by it also.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of Polygon myself. Our Cardinal token will be launching on Polygon, so definitely definitely a
Tidy.
fan of Polygon.
Give me that whitelist.
Oh yeah. We'll release more information about that in the coming few days, but in
Yep.
order to be on the whitelist, you have to be a member. That's kind of like
Uh,
one of our ways to give an immediate benefit to our memberships.
yeah.
But
You've also got to be a handsome English, Welsh, Italian, yeah?
oh man. But yeah, we will enough with our AMA. We want the AMA to be about the rebellion.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's see. We got a bunch of questions from a guy that says he was not here, but will be listening to the recording. So he's got a few funny ones. So the first one is, what are your three favorite L1 platforms?
Oh, I like Solana. It's quite a intriguing platform. Obviously, I would pick Bitcoin and Ethereum just because they are the OGs, they're the maxis, they're what everybody wants to own. I imagine having one Bitcoin that would be pretty tasty, wouldn't it? But if I discounted them, I quite like AVAX. Obviously, you could argue that many of the EVM compatible blockchains are they truly layer ones, but they've at least put their own spin on it. So yeah, I'd probably go for layer ones: AVAX, Cardano, and Solana.
All right. All right. I think those are some of the crowd favorites. Let's see. His next question is, what are your three favorite altcoins? They're getting a little off topic, but if you want to answer them, I'm all for it.
um, well, I think Polygon's number one. Um, what would my other favorites be? I would like to say Phantom. I had a lot of high hopes for that, but I think recently, yeah, AVAX, Polygon, and I'm going to be a Cardano maxi again and say Cardano.
All right. All right. All right. Now, I guess how off topic are you down to get? Because
We've spoken enough times. I'll just chat shit basically the whole time we're talking in it. So whatever you got to throw at me, throw it at me.
sounds good. His third question is, what is your favorite beer?
Well, if anybody knows anything about the West Country of England, we don't drink beer, we drink cider, and proper as well. Nice and cloudy, no bubbles, stuff that will knock your socks off until next Tuesday.
All right. I never tried cider myself, but sounds like I'll have to head over to
Uh,
England some one of these days and get some
it can
cider.
be a little bit better. You can go from anywhere between bitter and sweet, but it's basically apples and sugar, so you can't go much wrong with that.
All right, yeah, fair enough. I'm a fan of apples. Let's
Yeah,
see.
apple a day keeps the doctor away.
The
Just like a
old
visit to the
saying
rebellion a day keeps the
keeps
debt collector away.
keeps the rugs away. All right. Fourth question. What is the most important element on your roadmap?
Ooh, it depends who you ask. If you ask Mayhem, we've both got our expertise. He is kind of an NFT aficionado, whereas I'm a DeFi boy through and through. So for me, I think the whole project, the NFTs, the game, it all hinges around the success of the DeFi project. So that has to be 100% the most important part of the rebellion.
All right. I like that answer. Question five. What problem is the rebellion solving? Kind of went over that. Is there anything else you wanted
Yeah,
to add to
kind
that?
of. No, I think we covered a lot of it, didn't we? Obviously, it's kind of putting the venture capital power into every consumer's hand through a crowdsourcing model, in my opinion, like nobody else has done or that exists at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Question six. What the hell does Gert Lush mean? Gert Lush. I don't know if I'm saying
Ah,
that
Gert Lush.
right.
The Gert Lush. Um, basically, Gert has two uses. So you could be like, that's Gert Lush. Like, that's. I don't even know if you know what lush means. So lush means like nice, basically.
Okay.
And Gert can mean really, or you could go, that's Gert massive. Uh, or if somebody said something, you could go, that's Gert, that is. And it's basically meaning you can agree with people. Um, we often get called the Texas of the UK in the Southwest. So we've got our own little dialect that nobody else understands whatsoever.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. You're getting your own language lesson as well as an AMA, two in one special.
Yeah, I've probably scared half the audience off now, haven't I?
All right. Question seven. Why did you name the project the Rebellion?
Um, Two reasons, because we're massive nerds and we love Star Wars. And the second being that the whole idea of kind of going, let's all make a venture capital firm together is rebelling against those financial norms. So our love of Star Wars and the concept of the project and what makes it interesting and unique kind of just fitted perfectly together. So the rebellion was born.
All right. Fair enough. Now I'm going to add in my own question. What did you think of Kenobi on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I kind of loved it. um, yeah, Obi-Wan's probably my favorite Jedi from the light side. Obviously, everyone's favorite character from the universe is always Darth Vader in it, or Yoda's up there as well. But I just love Obi-Wan, and I watched it so vested, and I was drawn in every episode. And that last lightsaber battle between him and Anakin was just mind blowing. Easily the best lightsaber duel ever in Star Wars.
All right, all right. Yeah, I thought I mm, it was a little cheesy. I'll give it that, but overall it was pretty good. I think the last couple episodes were definitely saved it a little bit for me, to
Yeah,
say the least.
the finale of the series was better than the beginning, wasn't it?
100%, 100%. But yeah, we could be done with the Star Wars geeking.
Well, I could
um,
talk about that all day. Fair.
we'll have a separate AMA about Star Wars with you.
Okay.
How about that?
Come on. Love you. Sorry, my little girl's going to bed.
That's all right.
Cool.
Question 8, final question from this guy. He asks, um, final question from my wife, who for some reason has a dislike of your beard. Will you shave it off if a certain number of NFTs are sold? And how many would that have to be?
Um, well, as it happens, I actually shaved it off yesterday. But anybody who knows me knows that I'll shave it off and then I won't shave for another 2 months and it will be long as hell again. So, but so when the NFT mints, he said I couldn't pick a sellout, didn't he? So it's a 10,000 NFT mint, so I'll go for 9,999.
All right. Fair enough. That's a fun question.
Yeah.
All right, we can move to some audience questions. I think there's some more audience questions. We got some good ones in the chat, quite a few. Let's see. 3.14159 asks, so what are yours and your team's qualifications, and how would they come into play when you handhold these companies?
Okay, so I'll start with our CTO and lead developer. His name's Equinox online. Some of you may know him if you've been invested in Sphere. He's basically Sim's right-hand man. Unbiased opinion is he's one of the best developers in the space and one of the best developers I know, to be honest. So in terms of helping them with contracts and things like that, he was our only option. We were never going to go with anybody else. In terms of marketing and getting people's names out and helping pump up ideas and prices and things like that, that's really Mayhem's strong suit. He's the only reason that we've got so many people into our service so quickly. I believe after the first week, we were already above 1,000 members of launching the Discord, which blew my mind how he did that. For me, as I mentioned, I'm a highly qualified engineering manager working within the refrigeration sector. This means I manage many people. I know how to make a business work, what tried and true practices there are for basically making your project or company more profitable. And then in terms of actually building a business from the ground up, like I said, one of our advisors is actually my stepfather, who is easily the most successful businessman I know after selling his business for, like I said, tens of millions of pounds. Also, we have some extra advisors on board. We have Cyril, who many of you already know. He's a Parrotly's founder and a very intelligent man. And we've got Weaver on our board of advisors. He's another guy from Sphere. And I have close relationships with Sim, which are always good business contacts to have when we're hand-holding these projects.
Definitely, yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize you guys were that close with so many bigger names in the space. That's awesome.
Yeah, you got a network, mate.
Yeah, your
Or
net.
when I say network, you've got a pest of them until they become your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a common saying that's your network is your net worth, and I think that is very true to a lot of extents. You know, the
Yeah,
people that you're able to connect with have a huge role in your future success, I think, and you guys seem to have that like definitely covered really well.
yeah, and especially if anybody wants a little bit more criteria, when Sphere was first operating and growing, I was actually one of their advisors for Sphere as well, where we would have the inside scoop, talk to Sim and the team about different ideas that they had and give our opinions. So I have had a first-hand involvement, kind of working alongside Sim and the team in a early startup project like Sphere.
Oh wow, nice. That's awesome. Let's see. Benova asks, what marketing strategy are you going to use to bring the non-crypto gamers to get used in your game?
There'll be the traditional advertising routes, such as YouTube, things like that. We all know the ads that they play in a video. Well, in the ads between segments of a video, I should say. But then there's sponsored ads. We've all seen like Linus Tech Tips, people like that do their mid-roll ads, and they do like a 10 to 30-second ad read about a different project or company or device. So there's always those types of advertisements. You can push things on the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Much of the things they actually recommend as a pick are paid promotions, where they've kind of boosted themselves up. So there's a lot of marketing techniques like that. Obviously, Mayhem, he's actually quite involved. He works for a game studio himself. I won't name which one, but they're doing quite well for themselves. And he's kind of got an inside scoop to them as well and how they do their marketing practices. So we can kind of borrow those ideas and build off of them ourselves.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's definitely more extensive than most projects out there as far as marketing goes. You seem to have definitely, especially with that inside scoop of the gaming company, like that in itself is like tailored marketing specific to your product too, and knowing how to do that and having multiple guys on your team that are good and at those different angles. I think that that definitely, in my opinion, would help set you guys apart if, of course, the execution is good. But yeah, that's good to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, and anybody who kind of knows me on a more personal level, such as Lady B, Squeaker, they're friends of mine, um, they'll be able to tell you that I don't just think one step ahead. I'm generally thinking 10, 20, 30 steps ahead. I'm looking further down the line. I'm like a year ahead in where I'm planning, and then you adjust the now to suit the then.
Yep. I definitely like that approach. A lot of people in the DeFi space are looking at the next week, not the next year or 5 years or 10 years. So definitely something that again will set you apart if executed properly.
Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
see. 3.14159 asks, do you have any projects lined up right now? I'm assuming that's in reference to the investing opportunities.
Yeah, so we've had one project approach us as of this point. They're quite promising. Obviously, whilst we're in the early stages of talks, it's not really my place to speak about things because there's NDAs and the like. But obviously, within those NDAs in the future, people would have, again, I keep saying it, but the inside scooped those NDAs because we would write it within the NDA that these investors know and can participate in the vetting process. And in terms of, there is one thing which I haven't mentioned. I've kind of teased it already in our Discord. Um, we have already signed a deal. Still not going to give it all away because, again, NDAs, early partnerships, things like that. However, we've partnered with a DEX already, and we've designed a piece of code which effectively fixes contract sales forever. And any project that would use that code, we would have a cut of it. So before we've even come to market, we're going to be generating revenue streams that will further benefit the investor and the holder, which I don't think I've seen any other project bring revenue streams before they've fundraised through a whitelist or anything like that before.
No, definitely, it's not something you see very often, if at all. So that's super awesome that you guys are you have a very unique approach to everything. It's not your typical node or rebase project or something that's solving an issue that doesn't need to be solved. Like this is really cool stuff.
Yeah, well, my background in investing, basically since I was 18, um, I've been investing in the traditional markets. So I've now got the best part of 14 years of investing under my belt. And obviously those traditional markets really do build a traditional investment approach, which sometimes in DeFi could actually be more beneficial for not, like for risk management, things like that. Kind of not going like to the moon and then a week later you get rug pulled. So you can much like with your grandparents, not everything they say is right, and not everything in TradFi is right either. However, we can take the good parts, like we do with everything else in life, and adjust them to what we're doing now. So we can take all that investment experience I've got from the stock market, inject it into DeFi, and hopefully make something better than what we've got now.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Benova asks, do I need to have an NFT or tokens to be a member of the Rebellion Army? And then if so, how many tokens slash NFTs do I need to hold?
Okay, so the Rebel Army, I presume you're talking about the role within our Discord. You can literally just go and join that. That's basically our raiding community at this point, where we'll post a tweet and people raid it, try to boost it, get our name out to more and more people. From there, we've got a leveling system where you go up from recruit, general, all the other types of military roles until you get higher. It's just a bit of a flexing thing within the Discord, really, where you go, look at my name. It's a turquoise color, even though in reality it's just a bit of fun and games, isn't it? But yeah, I think what he means is the Rebel Army, which is just um our raids, and you can see in the general chat our CTO and lead dev has just joined and said, "So sexy, Brent Strician." He is French though, so you're gonna have to forgive him for that.
It's all good. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of go through these questions a little quick because I'm scrolling through and then I realize I still have 50 more messages left to go through. Man, I did not expect this many questions, but this is awesome.
Well, I'll try not to ramble too much. I'll do some quick fire answers for you if you want.
Whatever you feel like you need to answer the question with is good. We can always save them for a later date as well. Let's see. Nissan Sala asks, can you tell us why you have decided to choose blockchain and what are the unique features of your NFTs than any other blockchain NFTs?
Okay, so why blockchain? Because it is the tech of the future, and I don't think Kickstarter would have really liked us starting a venture capital firm through their through their business model. Um, didn't really fancy launching it on OnlyFans. So the best possible way of doing it, a blockchain for all of the things it can incorporate. The NFTs utility, like we spoke about before, they're going to be yield boost within the DeFi project, which will give you more of a treasury. That money isn't just taken from other investors. We're actually going to give it to those NFT holders from our share of a treasury. So we will give up a portion of our profits to give back to you guys. And then the NFTs can be upgraded also, which means we basically change the metadata within, upgrading the image, and being able to boost your characters and your army further within the game.
Right on. All right. Benova asks, will your future giveaways be in your native tokens or continue to be in the other protocols tokens?
As in the revenue share, I believe,
I believe
is what you're
so.
asking.
Yes.
Yeah. So our investment strategy is a traditional one of 70-20-10, which basically means you put most of your capital into lower risk investments, which would be the 70%. You put medium risk assets into that 20%, and then you put the high risk assets into the 10%. So we would obviously be doing stablecoin farming. We'll be yield farming with many other tokens that aren't so volatile, which everybody can already do themselves. We'll be able to go directly to kind of established, however, still somewhat volatile projects and get OTC deals. Like, say, we went to Sphere, we're trying to get in at a lower price. If we took enough money, they would give us an OTC deal more than likely for a better price. And then from there, the 10% would be dedicated to our venture capital model. So rather than giving it out in our token, which many projects do, and they just keep all the money for themselves, and then give you guys a meaningless token that doesn't really give you anything more, and it only further pushes the price of that token down, we'll give a certain proportion out in stablecoins, we'll give a certain proportion out in the project's token that we've invested in, and any others. Like, say we had Matic and we were farming that, you'd get paid out a little bit in Matic. If we were farming USD to USD plus, or USDC to USD plus, you would get those tokens within your dividend that pays out. And then if we invested into ZAC coin over the vesting period, you would get your allocation of ZAC coin.
I'm down to invest in some Zach coin.
Yeah, that sounds sexy, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. All right. Benova asks also, what are your benefits from your current partnership? I know you signed an NDA, but is there like anything, any alpha you can drop us?
So the benefits are that basically the downside of rebasing tokens is the way they're taxed and how they have to use that as revenue. So they effectively just have to sell their own token, which then negatively impacts the price on the chart, freaks people out, and sends the price even further down. People start to panic sell. We've effectively got code that can fix that problem, thanks to my mind and Equinox's impeccable ability at programming. That we've been able to broker a deal. Any rebasing project or any taxable project, to be honest, they'd be silly not to use this incentive. They'll be taxed slightly more in terms of the exchange normally charges somewhere around a 0.25% tolerance, don't they, for an exchange fee?
Yep.
We will likely work out a model where we can raise that slightly so the consumer would still have that 0.25% exchange fee, but we might take 0.1% exchange fee from the project as well. From there, we'll have our share of that fee, and because it will be on every single transaction, it will effectively be consistent returns from something we build and we deploy and we leave it there just to make us money.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that rebasing tokens could improve on is getting that tax taken out before the swap occurs rather than afterwards, so that they don't cause
Yeah,
the big
and
red candles.
it's a difficult thing to do. It sounds like a very easy, simplistic concept, doesn't it? And the concept is very easy, and it's not a revolutionary idea, but it's implementing it. That's the difficult part. And that's where we've excelled and actually, not to stroke my own ego, but kind of dominated everybody else in how fast we've implemented it. Like I say, how many $0 market cap projects that haven't launched yet are already partnered with a rather large exchange?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's super awesome. I know there's a couple other projects on the way that have similar features, but I mean, they've been developing them for months and months. That's super awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and like I say, competition's good in the market. Um, I would probably say their code's not going to be as good as Equinox's. I've read his code for our contracts. and it's the cleanest code I've ever looked at. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a programmer by trade, but I can read through it and understand it, and his coding is sublime, for lack of better words.
That's pretty cool to hear.
Mm.
The OXG asks, what kind of gamers do you want in your community? Mostly crypto gamers or mostly normal gamers?
Well, of course, we want the like Omega nerds, um, but yeah, we want both. Let's be fair. The crypto community are going to be our first customers, aren't they? They're going to be the first ones to jump on, start using the game, because we're all into crypto, we're all into DeFi. We want to get involved and see what interesting concepts people can make. But from there, that'll give us a base. Um, Sorry, I just had to burp. That'll give us a base where we'll be able to build from, and at that point, there'll be reviews on the Apple App Store, things like that. More people start seeing it going up the rankings, and then they just naturally start to get inquisitive. They start to use it alongside a bit of forced marketing. We should be able to capitalize on both markets. And also the way we've worked, because obviously every DeFi game ends up needing tokenomics, doesn't it? The way we've worked our tokenomics out basically eliminates the Ponzi-nomic from every other DeFi game I've looked at so far.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like it. Let's see, Chamuddy asks, has the Rebellion token smart contract been audited for security risks?
Not as of yet. We have published it um, because you have to have it like on GitHub, things like that, for it to be audited. We will have it audited, of course. It will probably be sometime shortly after the NFT release. NFTs are quite a simplistic thing. We can make the code public as soon as, so that people can see it. Anybody who's in our community who has coding knowledge should be able to actually say how good it is, hopefully, and um, just reassure everybody that the code is good and it's not malicious in any way whatsoever. But yeah, once we've done that initial capital acquisition phase, like I said, we'll be deploying the money into investments, we'll be farming it, and we'll invest in an audit as well, because who doesn't like a good CertiK audit?
Definitely, yeah. And you got called out. Houdini said Kenobi is a loser. What do you have to say about that?
I would say, is Houdini in my server, and when am I going to ban him?
Let's see. He is in the rebellion, so maybe he can apologize and he won't get the ban hammer. But I'd be careful with your words, Houdini. You're playing with fire.
Yeah, I'm at Obi-Wan Maxi.
Oh man, that's funny. Let's see. Scrolling through the chat. Do you have a referral program?
In regards, I imagine they're talking in regards to actually bringing other people into the project. Um, we've got no plans for it, I'll be perfectly honest. Again, that kind of incentivizes that Ponzi-nomics and that effect, because you draw people in, you're making money off of their money, and it just kind of keeps inflating and becomes unsustainable.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest benefit to referring your friends is a selfish one, because the more people we can bring into the project, the more healthy the token becomes, the more the price pumps, and you're almost rewarding yourself at that point for all the work you've put in.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's fair. There's a lot of mixed opinions on referral programs. That's without a doubt. I think projects like Drip, the only reason they operate is because of a referral program. And I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot of people that hate on Drip, a lot of people that like it, but a lot of people that hate it. And it's just a matter
yeah.
of opinion.
And many of those rewards as well are paid because people just keep locking their money in, and they're trying to compound, and eventually one day that compounding effect will become too much, and they won't be able to pay out every investor. And if they do, they'll have to print a lot of tokens, which will just flood the market and crash the price because everybody will then start sell cascade. So like with the rebellion, we're planning the long term. We don't want this to be a short term flip. We want this to be something you buy, you hold, and eventually destroy Bitcoin. That last bit was a joke.
I was gonna say you guys got some big goals.
Yeah, realistically, you don't even have to destroy Bitcoin. It's a different space, it's a different concept, and it's a different design. We can operate together. Bitcoin can succeed, we can succeed, and every other token that isn't a rug pull or a Ponzi can also succeed.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. It looks like I think most of the questions have been answered. We're coming up on an hour now, so that's a pretty good timing as far as community questions go. Is there anything else that we haven't touched up on?
I can give one last brief rundown of kind of how the tokenomics are going to work. I would find the picture that I drew up, however, I'm ill prepared with that image and I'm not quite sure what folder I left it in. So it will only be more distracting while I sit there for 5 minutes in silence. But effectively, like I said, the NFTs are going to hold utility within the game and the Rebellion Capital project, which is our DeFi project. From there, you will buy the Rebel token, you'll stake the Rebel token, which means you'll get a wrapped version of that said token, which will also, while it's the benefit of wrapping and swapping it into that, is the fact that it takes less, it temporarily, I should say, takes takes the circulating supply out of supply until they decide they want to sell a little bit or all of it. Whilst it's staked and you've got that wrap version on, it will be compounding within the bag. So, like I said, where we've got that 300% inflation rate, and once it hits that, rebases stop. That's going to take a minimum of 140 days for those rebases to stop. And we'll hit that 300%, where the inflation's really good at the beginning because everybody's getting more and more money. But the key is to cut it off before it hits 400%. Now, that's obviously depending on market conditions, which is why we went a bit more conservative with a 300% inflation rate. So it will carry on rebasing within the wrap token when you go to stake it. So don't worry, nobody's going to lose out on their rebases because your wrapped token will accumulate in value rather than number. And whilst it's wrapped, you'll get the dividends paid out like a traditional investment, where over time you'll get stable coins, you'll get altcoins, you'll get whatever token it is that we've invested in directly into your wallet. That'll likely be through a claim feature because there may be certain investments that we go into, say we invest in a gambling website or something like that. There's certain religions that don't allow you to partake in that, and we want to be conscientious of those things as well. So rather than just airdropping these tokens to everybody, it would be a case of you go on the DApp, you claim your dividend, and if you don't want to partake, you can just not claim it, and then after 28 days or so, it goes away, it can go into the treasury and be reinvested, hopefully, either the rest of the community, depending on how much it is, or just to kind of grow everybody's profits thereafter again. I would say we can make concessions of, well, if you don't claim this, then we can give you some more stable coins, but obviously if we end up with 20, 30, 40,000 people, that becomes very complicated to make those concessions. So the best compromise we came to is having it as a claimable feature where people can just choose to partake or not and have a nice wide open claim period of like 28 days so that nobody misses out if they just forget on the day. From there, you can choose to sell our token eventually, because obviously people are more than welcome to buy and sell as they see fit. This isn't a cult. This isn't us locking you in. Like I said, with Drip, they lock you in, they take your money away, and they hope that you'll just keep compounding until eventually they have to pay out. For us, we believe it's your money, your funds, your wallet. So you buy in, you sell it, you do what you want, and we'll just try to make you money along the way.
Yeah, fair enough. Enough said. I mean, I think that it definitely is a unique ecosystem with the NFTs, the token, the private investments. I think it's super cool. I mean, you guys have a definitely a different approach than any other project I've had on for an AMA. So it's definitely awesome to hear new ideas. I think that that's one of my favorite things about the crypto space is that whether it's a brand new project idea or a fork of another project, everybody seems to have at least a new idea that they bring to the table. And
Yeah,
hearing those ideas and kind of like the everybody's vision behind those ideas is always just like super fun and mind blowing to me. So I really enjoy getting to hear from projects of the likes of the Rebellion and all the other ones that we've had on.
yeah, definitely. And obviously, there's no new ideas nowadays. However, there's evolution of ideas, aren't there?
Yep.
And you you can look at our tokenomics and you can go where they've got a rebase feature, they've got a wrap feature, they've got NFT staking. There's many projects who have done those things before, not necessarily in the same way we've done it, because we have combined a lot of great features from other projects and tweaked them to fit our needs. But the concept's new, the concept's novel, and hopefully everybody here has enjoyed my monotone voice sending them to sleep for the last hour as well.
Little did they know that you've just been singing them a lullaby.
Yeah, this is how I talk to my kids when I try to send them to sleep. No explanation. I'm just like, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Oh, that's funny. The last question I had, and then we'll get into the giveaway, is what, or I guess how long, you mentioned there's the 300% cap on the token distribution. Is that spread out for that whole year, or is there like a set time frame on that?
Okay, so the 300% inflation rate, and the reason I refer to it like that is because an APY is an average percentage yield. Um, the APY would be above 300%. However, that if I called it an APY and everybody expected it for a year, it would be disingenuous. So we've got a 300% inflation rate. Now, if one person held those tokens on its own, it would inflate for 140 days. But obviously, if investor one comes in and has a very small bag, then investor two comes in and he's got a smaller bag, those rebases will be less and less, and they'll be spread out. So it will take a minimum of 140 days before rebases end.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, that was
Um,
the last thing I had.
Also, I probably should touch on a rough estimate of when we plan to be launching, so that people know.
Yeah, when
Um,
launch?
yeah, when launch. People have been asking me that for a while now. So we're aiming for in the next 4 to 8 weeks, the NFT project will come out. Houdini just said when Binance. Um, we'll likely invest on Binance, but the token's going to live on Polygon. Um, no, Lady B, I'm not going to do that. Um, if you want to see the sneak peek of the Rebellion artwork, you can come join our Discord server. The moment you finish listening to me waffle on. But yeah, in the next 4 to 8 weeks, we plan on releasing the NFTs. Like I said, that's our capital acquisition phase. And then once most, if not all of them, have been minted, obviously we want it to mint out instantaneously. However, I'm not delusional that we're in a bear market, and even more so, a recession, technically. Um, so our plan is we underpromise, overdeliver. So 4 to 8 weeks, the NFTs will be out. Now, once enough of them have been minted, we'll effectively have gained enough capital that we can then deploy our DeFi contract. We aim to have that out 4 weeks after we've hit that minimum amount of mints. So they all mint out. 4 weeks after the NFTs come out, DeFi project lands, everybody can invest in that, everybody gets an automatic whitelist, and we can all start to benefit. Because the idea of having that 4 week period is we can send the money from the NFTs to the treasury, and we can put it to work to be able to pay out people from day one, so that people sign up and they're not going, oh, when dividend, when this, when that. We can just go, yeah, don't worry, next week you're going to start getting your dividends. So it's just an instant reward process, if that makes sense. So, like I said, 1 to 2 months for the NFTs, and then 1 month, 1 month or so after that for the Rebellion Capital DeFi project.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure that'll help you keep your sanity with all the questions of when this, when that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're still going to come, but I figured I'd say it as I forgot to mention it earlier, and it's best to just get it out there, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I guess the last thing is then the giveaway. So there's 10 whitelist spots, 2 OG spots, and then $100 split amongst 10 people, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. What we may do then is, now that we're drawing to an end, I'll go back through the AMA questions. I'll pick them all out, and should we say we'll drop it in an announcement? And then if everybody opens a ticket in the Rebellion server who won, I'll take your wallet addresses, give you all the rewards, things like
Yes, sounds good. If you want to get those giveaways, that'd take a lot of work off of my plate. So by all means, I would appreciate that a lot. I can help out, of course, too.
Yeah, well, if I give you the names, you can kind of drop an announcement, or I can just tag them in general chat whilst I sit down for the evening.
Yeah, I can
Um,
drop an announcement for them too.
yeah, and then yeah, basically everybody who's participated today, get your asses over to the Rebellion, and then I can
Yes,
notify you. But
yes,
just
yes.
beat me to the invite link as well.